Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening blessings and salutations. Bless up to my boy Mbaku. We'll see you in a minute, my brother. Here, boy, I
Everybody.
shout.
Good night, everybody. Here, back
Good
again.
night. Well, yeah, you're back again. Thank you.
Ranchi Dan.
Ah,
Minute.
I tried to get your other cousin to come on, but he hasn't. So I'm going to call him out. He hasn't come on yet, Mr. Terry.
Woo! Interesting one. That'll be a legit interesting one. I would love to see that.
Well, I've been asking him, so hopefully he will finally be able to. Um, Let me see who all is on.
So we have
Uh,
a lovely new guest on the show tonight.
Yes, we have Halima with us for the first time, and of course, it will not be the last. That's what we make sure we tell everybody. So, know that we will be asking you again,
Yes,
and
we
we have
will.
our return, Ranchi.
Welcome, people.
Um,
Welcome.
so,
Always welcome.
well, tonight, we are going to discuss when is or when was enough for you. Because it's interesting. Of course, it's different for everybody. And I think one thing that I've also learned that enough there comes a point when enough is enough, but then it doesn't necessarily mean that that's when you call it quits. For different people, sometimes there's a timeline. We fortunately had a back office meeting yesterday evening, and we had Boyd with us, who's also in the group. He couldn't be on the show tonight, but he had some interesting things to say that we will bring up tonight as well. Um, who's saying good night? Good night,
Brantley
Patricia.
and Patricia.
Good
Good
night,
night, Patricia.
Brantley. So why don't we go around? What we'll probably do is kind of go around to everybody, and then we can read, especially since our YouTube
Hey,
viewers
Shamet.
can't see. But we did pose a question. Pinky posed a question today to start the conversation for tonight, asking when was your "this is enough" moment in a relationship. So, do you want us to start reading those first, or do you want everybody to speak first and then we go to that?
Read those first.
Okay. So, I won't necessarily call out names. I don't think that's not important. I think it's more important of what the enough was. So we have someone here that said, when I had to decide before I said something, if I should, no freedom to speak, that was hurt enough. Um,
Wow, that's heavy.
do I, for Trina? Um,
You could, yeah.
okay. When she had a stroke, um, she realized I was ignoring my intuition prior, and the stroke was my awakening moment. Then someone else said, when you catch them in the act and you say, kill him or leave,
Mm.
he's not worth your freedom. Um, then we have someone up that said, when woken up in the middle of the night to argue over something crazy for like the 20th million time, in that moment of his ranting, I felt and saw my spirit leave my body, hovered over me, and asked, what are you really doing? Um, we have a guy who said, when I had to validate her existence. Again, it was a lot. Halima, let me go to you. Actually, before I go to you, someone else said, when I totaled my car crashing into his. Um, and we'll bring up the others as well. And for anybody who didn't answer in that question, you feel free to definitely comment as we're going along this. So for you, Halima, and again, everybody, well, a lot of people, unlike Dr. Williams, have had sometimes multiple relationships. So, but whatever one stands out the most, or several that stand out the most for you, when was your enough enough?
The same young lady who said she totaled her car hitting his, I can relate to that because like two of the most, I guess, most crazy reasons I left was one was where I like literally thought about killing the person, and I was like, I was still in America at that time, so I was like, yo, if I kill him, I'm gonna be in a Florida jail, so it's just best that I pack up and leave.
Oh my
What
God.
the?
And
What
then
was cause?
second, the second one was when I just I didn't want to go home. Like the thought of going home to see his face and hear his voice made me want to physically throw up. So then I was like, oh yeah, it's time to leave, and I packed up and I left.
So
So
it
it's
was.
pretty much
So,
when I get to the point where it takes me out of my character or takes me to a place I don't want to be, like spiritually, emotionally, then it's time to go.
So look at that
wow.
say.
Wow. And so let me ask you a question, Halima, in that when you had your enough moment, were you, because everybody is not fortunate, were you able to say, okay, this is it and just leave? Or were there situations
Um,
where you might have had to stay a little bit longer before
in
you
the
could leave?
first situation, I already knew I needed to leave. I was already preparing to leave. So like when I said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna kill this dude, I was like, all right. I just called my girlfriend and tell her, yo, I am coming over. It's a wrap. I just left everything. I didn't go. I didn't take anything with me. I just left.
So,
And
so
then for
yeah,
the second situation, um, again, I was like, I'm done. And he met me packing up to leave, and he was like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I'm done. I'm out."
Wow.
So for the first one, I was already planning. Like I knew it was not a good situation. It's time to go. I just needed to save my money, so when I left, I didn't have to come back for anything. And the second situation, I just didn't care. I just wanted to be out. Like I didn't prepare or plan anything. It was just like when you sit in your car and don't want to go in your house, that's a problem. So I just left.
Wow. Okay. Um,
Hmm.
Pinky, since I said yours, but we'll come back to you. We'll go to Louis. Have you ever had an enough is enough moment? And let me say something, and maybe I shouldn't say it till after you speak. But one of the conversations we had with Boyd last night is, and it was like a aha moment, was that we realized, based on what he said, the majority of the time, men hardly ever say enough is enough. It's usually the woman who breaks up a relationship. And his take was that for the most part, most men's needs are being met. And so there's never really the reason to find, they might not be happy, but it's never really a reason to say, I'm done. So I don't know if you agree or disagree with that statement. And again, this is general statements. Again, this is not professional. This is from people's experiences and views. But did you ever have an enough is enough moment?
I have had several. But like we talked about before we went live, I'm the type of individual that if once I lose interest, that's it for me. I firmly believe in the energy, whatever it is I'm putting into a relationship. If I'm not receiving that, I got it. I ain't sticking around. But and of course the time frame it varies. It varies on individual. But for me, the one that sticks out the most, of course, was which alluded to my divorce. Um, it was I endured like you said, Boyd mentioned. We deal with stuff. We don't just, what I mean. I dealt with being told that that she wanted me out. I dealt with it for a long time, and again because there were kids involved and things like that. But the enough is enough moment is when she got my parents involved, and I was like, that's a wrap. I'm out.
Get him involved. How?
By calling them and saying, "Hey, listen, I want him out." Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think
so then you really didn't want to leave. It's just that because you went to
no.
the extent of calling your parents, that's why you leave.
Because it got to the point where it wasn't getting any better. So why go through that? And then you go involve my parents, which I don't, I believe in. If you have a situation like that, some family is important. Don't get me wrong, but two people need to work there. Whatever. When it comes to intimate, relations, the two parties that are involved need to work and handle that out. That didn't happen. So.
And how about you, Ryan? Raunchy.
Well, I can totally honestly say I never had a point where it was a walk away.
A breaking point?
I never had a breaking point. I never had that.
I could tell you more, man.
Wow.
Yeah, you got more stories than me on this one. I got no stories. I don't. I like a full-on soldier. I gonna talk it out. We're gonna make it. You're gonna make it all the way to the end.
And it always involved me being told to leave. I don't know why. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I was the problem.
So that's interesting. So Raunchy, for you, when you enter a relationship, when you're in a serious committed relationship, you are going to thug it out. You are not going to. Okay. So or either that or you've never experienced anything that was finally your enough is enough moment.
Oh, well, then yeah. But then again, the person matched my what to say. The person I got in a relationship with, I knew that whatever they could bring, I could deal with. Whatever hurdles come along with that person, I could deal with. It wasn't like a real kind of somebody I'd never been with. I dislike that her personality or something like that. That I wouldn't want to be with them. So for me, I choose my person based off of how long we could go together. I am not going to give away.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you though. Have you ever been in a situation like I mentioned where you're putting out all this effort into the relationship, but you're not getting it in return? Has that ever happened?
I would say I'm young, so I was sort of the rebel in the relationship. But I don't think I reached that point. There were times where I would say then they got tired of whatever, and they too was looking to tug it out, and they just wasn't. How to say? There was no companionship in the relationship. I reached a point where it was just like roommates. So
I've had that.
You don't
that
care
roommate situation.
Along, you don't follow through. You don't shit in me. My body come along. You don't care really. I go by myself like that. So then that usually just push you into other people in a sense. Kind of bad.
I've had that.
Yeah, it has happened. Don't mean to say I'm gonna throw away what I have home. Like,
but the problem I have with that is, I know a lot of people. I'm a very social person, friendly person, and yes, I might know other women, and because you see me with other women doesn't necessarily mean that's something going on. We have a problem with that in society.
The thing is here with our island, it's very small. So you see a man and a woman together, it's automatically
they assume, but everyone does that.
So it's like
that happens here.
I honestly, truly, I reach a point where I don't really care about other people's opinion. So if that's how you feel, that's what it is. If you carry to she and she believe all you, that's good for all you and she. Like I know where I stand with that individual. So maybe you might see me with somebody. Maybe I might mess it around, but I have a ton of female friends and like.
Exactly.
Yeah, it don't really.
Raunchy, I don't understand. Maybe I was messing around. I didn't get a part.
No, because I mean to say maybe one day I was actually doing something. So then maybe the fact could actually be true. But then 90% of the time, like I ain't out with people. I don't disrespect my relationship like that in that way.
Oh, maybe just this one time it happened in passing.
If it happened, it happened. That 1%, that 10% of a chance. But that's rare. I don't go out with people I would be messing around with. So I won't disrespect my relationship by going to a dance or being public with another person while everybody already know that I am in a relationship. Like, in my opinion, that's just a little disrespectful. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, at one point I didn't care.
Even in passing, I might just greet you or hail you from a distance or whatever, but is nowhere would go out on a date with you like that publicly and shit like that. That's just not me.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me read a couple more. I'm not sure how to pronounce. Well, the one we're not saying names. I think this is a guy. They said I was once asked by a woman to choose between my arts, musician lifestyle, but I miss her sometimes. And someone said choose. She's out of order for that.
Definitely.
And the guy said it's rough, but choose. Let me see. Another person said when someone else came around showing me the value I didn't see in myself, which gave me the strength to walk away and not look back. Then we have someone else that basically said that they had all the breakups were by their partner having enough. And he said that I'm like, if you really feel that way, you should go. But fortunately, he's been married 35 years. So that isn't his story. That isn't his story at this moment. Then someone else said the disrespect. Someone else said, a gentleman, when I hated to come home, even when I was off work, I would sit in the car around the corner and take a deep breath.
Exactly.
And that
I can relate to that so much.
Yeah.
I have done that myself.
Listen,
Wow.
like I said, when I can't go home to my own house that I pay rent for, that's a problem.
Right.
Oh, that was my thing too. I used to get that, you want to leave, and I'm like, you can't put me up because I pay everything. So what are you talking about? So that lasted for a while. That's why I stayed for a while. And again, that breaking point was when you cross that line and get appearance involved.
So let me ask you this question. So what you saw as a red flag, would it be a red flag for you now in pursuing a relationship? Because I think everybody here is...
I learned from it, but you can't go in thinking negatively.
Exactly.
You can't go into a relationship thinking negatively. Then don't go in a relationship at all. You have to learn the individual, learn, give the person a chance. You've learned from your mistakes, and so maybe there's certain things that you again could maybe come out. And I always have that conversation, from day one. That's what I've been talking about. I didn't have those conversations. I wasn't good at that, and I would admit to that.
Usually, Louis, bad behavior that someone exhibited is not going to be necessarily revealed in a conversation. It's going to be revealed as you get to know
eventually,
this person.
Of course,
right.
Eventually.
So
now,
I think Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
So I think in terms, because I saw somebody that wrote when they got kicked down a flight of stairs. Now, if you are in a new relationship and you see some aggression, I'm sure if you were in a situation where your enough was enough and it had to do with physical harm and you seen some aggression, I'm sure most people that would be a red flag to not even pursue that situation.
Yeah, because then it's going to be kick for kick. We want that.
Yeah, that's
we want that. It's one thing I firmly believe in, because I tell my boys this all the time. Treat women with respect and don't ever put your hand on a woman. 18 and 12, my boys. And I always tell them that all the time. Because you don't want, not just because of the legal ramifications, but that's not something respectable. That's not a way that you want to carry around with the rest of your life. Because once you start, make you want nobody say, you don't stop.
I believe in that too as well. Yeah. The sorry is only for a moment.
Exactly.
And then it recycles and come back again. Yeah.
Okay. Pinky, you were saying something?
Yeah. I never said what my breaking point was.
Go ahead.
I have had many breaking points. I write the one with the stroke, but I didn't even get to leave after that. So after I had the stroke, I couldn't leave because you asked the question, was there anything? I had to rehab, so I couldn't leave. I couldn't walk, I couldn't take care of myself, so I had to stay. So but there was many breaking points. But my point is, I think there comes a point where we feel something. It tells us, it's our indicator that something going on. I mean, I had the sit in the car moment. I sit in the car and I bawl. I didn't want to go in the house. I still didn't leave, you know. I had moments. There is just times where we stay for all kind of reasons. Some we shouldn't really stay for. And we were just talking about the physical abuse, but it's not just physical abuse. It's also verbal abuse and emotional abuse. Because when you're in a relationship, like the one person who mentioned that they had somebody who mentioned in the comments that they were in an accident and the mate didn't even come and see them. I mean, that we know that ain't just start at that point. I'm making an assumption and I could be very wrong, but these things don't just start. It's just like the person who kicked the person down the step. You know, it's just the emotional and the verbal and the crazy stuff that I went through that got me to that point. We'd be feeling things, we'd be knowing things, but then we'd be justifying things like, oh, it's not that bad, or stay in a relationship because we love the person or the person love us. You know, Halima, you were talking about that before, like you gonna ask for specific things so you could manifest specific things. And I'm afraid to manifest specific things because sometimes you don't get them specific things, like Debbie said. You get the things you ask for, and you're like, oh, but I didn't ask for this part. I asked for love. I got love, but it came with all kind of other stuff. So I don't know. I think I don't know about manifesting right now. I think right now is like God, just take it in control. Or I tell Debbie the other day, I think this was today or yesterday, if I got be by myself for the sake of peace, then I just got be by myself. As Patricia mentioned that last week, you know, I want my peace. But the point that I'm making, the long part, and Ranchi, it's nice that you gonna stick it out and you gonna fight till the end. That's good. I can't stick it out and fight till the end. Never again in my life will I stick it out and fight till the end. And I believe I stick it out and I fight till the end because we believe that marriage is forever. You have children, you have things that'll hold you there, right? Well, I'll never stick it out till the end. No. Never. I run in for the hills like our friend Karen said. You know, when you see them red flags in life, pay attention. You know, I know CC don't like when we use the red flag things, but they're just little indicators, or they're just like a highlighter in life that you just look at little things, you keep looking at them. And if you find that these are situations that ain't going away, or situations that gain progressively worse, you run for the hills, or you just gently walk away. But yeah.
Karen said red flags should be lessons learned and guiding tools to give you the hindsight to run for the hills. Now out gracefully or ghost. Kima said dilemmas have ended since what? She's something about my relationships aren't prisons for me or them. But it's true. But again, because even when the question was posed today, there were so many enough is enough moments for me. But like Pinky was saying, when you have kids involved, when you think, I know for me, I had to like look back at certain situations, and I realized that for me, there was fear, and it wasn't fear of necessarily of the person, but fear of like, could I do this on my own? Or fear of the unknown, you know? And I think that there's many people who have those enough is enough moment, but it takes years, sometimes, you know, months, weeks, for so many reasons why they don't actually act on it. When they had that enough is enough moment. So then, of course, after that, they're going to have a whole bunch more enough is enough moments. But different things keep people longer, even though in their heart and in their body, they know they should not be there any longer. Do you all think that you'll ever allow yourself to get to that point? I mean, That's kind of really a weighted question, because I think, as we discussed yesterday, I think it also depends how invested you are in a relationship. Because if it's just something new and you're just learning the person, getting to know the person, and you see some stuff that you don't like, it's easier for you to leave. But now if you're, involved with this person, there's been some time that has been invested in this relationship, or there's assets, or there's kids, maybe you might be willing to work on it before you say enough is enough. But
I got a question. Then what's the point of a relationship? Why do you need to have a relationship? Why not just have relations? Why just not
You could do
mess
that
around?
too.
But
You can do that
relations,
too.
right, is a relationship,
Let's call it the hookup culture.
That was another show. It was called the hookup culture.
But
Yeah,
isn't
but
that
I mean,
still
I don't
a form of a
understand.
relationship?
Oranchi, why would you stay in a relationship and be unhappy? You could be unhappy by yourself. Like, why are you in a relationship being
No, but
unhappy or
we're saying,
allowing
but
somebody to
we're
bring
saying,
unhappiness to you?
but we're saying now that we're not going to work on it. Any from the little thing, you're going to pick up and run because you see this happened in the previous relationship. So now, because it happened in your previous relationship, are you so quick to run now in this new relationship? Why aren't you working, how to say, for the relationship to work? Why are you sticking on? Why are you talking it out? Why is it the
I will
need to
stick
move away?
around for as long as I feel the other person is working on it as well. But once I feel that you are not trying to work to get to a better place, there's no need for me to be there. Why do I need to continue figuring it out by
That
myself?
goes back to what I said about
But that's fair. But that's fair.
put the same energy out.
But that's fair and understandable. But when you're saying no, like, hey, your first red flag, nope, that's a flag. I don't know what I mean already. I gone.
Oh
Are
no,
you
I
gonna
don't know.
all?
I think what Debbie meant is when you just meet the person and they exhibit behaviors that you just don't want to
Can't do it.
tolerate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
The
once
red
you
flag
once
is for
you
you to
pass,
run. The
no,
red
it's
flag
just
is for you to pay
be
attention.
aware. Yeah. But once you
Of course.
in the relationship, you're not just gonna pick up and leave. You're definitely gonna try and work on it. Nobody goes, well, I hope not, goes into a relationship with the belief it's going to end. You go in it thinking that this is your person until the both of you pass away. Nobody goes in thinking, yeah, we're gonna break up eventually. And I really hope nobody thinks like that. You go in with a positive mindset that this is gonna work out, that you're gonna do whatever you have to do to make it work out. But then, like I said, once one party gives up, there is no reason to continue.
let me read this.
Yep. Okay.
Shamet wrote,
I
well,
agree with
in
Karina.
answer to you, Ranchi, Kima said a relationship should be a partnership with your friendship. Shamet said, so are those really enough is enough moments? I have experienced times when I was fed up, but the fear of making it on my own, or my thinking that it was best to stay for the children. But when I reached the breaking point, that is when I became disinterested and started making my exit plan.
But I think there is enough moment. Like I said, when I had my stroke, I couldn't walk. I couldn't go find a job. I was a housewife. I had 4 kids. So I wasn't going no way. How could I possibly leave with 4 kids and can't walk and stuff like that? So for me, I had, like Shamet, I was planning an exit plan. All right. But at the time, my husband had cancer too. So whatever. It's just a whole bunch of stories. But I was planning an exit plan. But there are enough moments. You reach that point where you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. And you don't feel it. I think you don't feel it and you don't know it. And a lot of times, I mean, I've had the experience where I didn't want to do it. It took everything inside of me to do it, to make that choice to actually do it. But I knew in the end, it was the best choice to make. You just know it. I don't even think sometimes it'll just be the straw to break the camel back. It don't even be nothing big. You know what I mean? It's like you've been through a whole bunch of cheating, baby bond. You had these experiences, and it'll just be like that. One morning, wake up. Sorry, Ranchi. One morning, wake up, and of all days, that's the day you're most peaceful. Ain't the day you had the fight. For some people, it's the day you had the fight. and you're walking out. Some days, the time when you did get kicked, but sometimes it's like you maybe you've been in a bad fight the day before, you get a good night's sleep, and you wake up the next day and you're like, this is it. This is the time. I going now. I think it was you, Halima. Was it you, Halima, that was saying that he came home and he find you packing your stuff?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he found me packing. He's like, "Well, you done? I'm leaving." He's like, "Why?" We already had a discussion, a whole year of discussion. So I'm out, and that's what I do. Like once we, and I don't just leave just like that. Like you know why I'm leaving. We discussed it. You just choose not to hear me out, so I leave. And I am not the kind of person like when I had enough. Don't call me for closure. The closure done when I left. Like, I don't know what this whole closure mentality about. Like, we already had the conversation. You know what the problem was.
But do you think it's really closure they want, or they want to convince you to stay?
They want to convince you to stay, and they want to have an attachment to you still. They want to have a reason to stay in contact. I block you. You can't contact me. If you see him in the street, I'm going to walk straight past you. Like, you would be like, okay, do we even have a relationship? Because once I done. Like, I don't believe in closure. Closure is like, I left. That's the closure. There's nothing else to discuss. There's nothing else to worry about, because before I leave, I speak my mind. I am not the kind of person where you have to wonder what's going on. I don't do the silent treatment. I don't expect you to read my mind, because I'm going to tell you with my mouth, this is what the problem is. This is there's a miscommunication. There's something wrong. That's why when I say done, we don't need to have a conversation. You already know what the problem was.
At least you were able to pack. I had a situation where my shit was packed for me. It's like
all of that ain't sounding too good for you.
I would say. I tell you, man. Listen, I've had some situations, but it all involved. It all really and it's all my fault. Let me be 100. A lot of those situations, not my marriage. Let me make sure I talk about that. My marriage had nothing to do with what I'm about to say, but those prior situations had a lot to do with infidelity. So yes, I was at fault. I admit that. So you like where you're getting, you know what I mean? What are you gonna do?
Shemet said, Halima, you are a beast.
Yeah.
You have to be. You have to be. Like, that's it. I grew up in a household seeing things I didn't need to see. Not just with my family, but other family members. Like I was telling Debbie them the other night, like on both sides of my families, like relatives just whore and do things that I was like, wait, what really happening? And the women just used to take it. I don't take anything. Like, I'm a loving person. If I care about you, trust me, you're gonna know I care. I tell you and I show you in every possible way. So when I break up with you, you can never say I did not treat you well. So for you to take everything I did for you and act like it won't nothing, yeah, you deserve the beast. So you deserve for me to come home and meet the house empty. You deserve it. So yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that I am very, very cold.
Wow.
Ranchi, I don't know, you might get stroke tonight. You gotta breathe, man, or drink some water. Girl, Halima, I'm 100%. I mean, all them times, it was no need to have stayed, but hindsight is 2020, and you live and you learn and you grow up. You're still young, and for you to be at that stage this young is a great thing. Yeah. But I tell you, to stay the length of time in any one of them relationships, when I look back now, what was the sense? Nothing did change. Their behavior was their behavior. They were consistent with their behavior. Yep. So this hope, Ranchi, I know what you're saying, but it's true. Relationships should be it's not going to always be equal. It's not going to always be the same level of give and take. But at the end of the day, you have to show up for your mate. You have to be there. If something is bothering your mate and you telling them it bothering you, and they just ignoring you, for you to conclude that they don't care, it's not the wrong conclusion. You know what I mean? For you to actually assume they care. But Ranchi, you looking at it because to the point maybe you care and the person care for you, but there has to be some form of balance in a relationship. There has to be some form of reciprocity in there. It has to be, you know.
I totally agree. I totally
Huh?
agree. I totally agree. I agree with what you guys are saying. It was just funny to me because I saw that last year a guy, his job was to party. He was a DJ or whatever, and he came to a job the following day with us. But he said the night when he came home that morning, like his girl packed everything and left. So I was just like, she left she didn't, I think he had buy ice cream. I think he had buy a little ice cream. I think that's all she had leaving the
At least she leave him something to eat.
Oh my
Like,
god.
oh my god.
you know
It's just like,
what's
forgive
so
me,
funny
my
about
mind is
that?
just like, oh my god.
When I
That's like,
leave, I only leave with my clothes. I don't leave with anything I put in the house. Everything
no, but
stays except my
she
clothing.
went to everything. He walked in, everything was gone, down to the cups. You know, you even have a teacup. You know, you even got a
Look,
teacup.
my girlfriend, I ain't gonna say who it is. My girlfriend was gonna, I said, take everything. Take everything, don't leave nothing. Take your lamp, take your towel and your washcloth. Take
Oh, Jesus
everything.
Christ.
You spend your money. Boy, man,
No,
look.
No, I don't take those things because those things have
Everything
like
they go
memories and
wash.
energies. So I leave them right there. I don't bring that energy where I'm going. So I'm just gonna leave with my
I
clothes.
want my dish towel. I want everything. If I had a bar of soap, I take in my bar of soap. Like, look,
I think, but Halima, I understand what you're saying because I too believe in like energy, but I also think it's principle, and it also depends like the reason that you had to leave or pack up. It's unfortunate. That's what that's what has to happen sometimes, but you know, everybody has to gain their like superpower.
it's kind of empowering. Yeah,
it is empowering, you know.
you could take it and you could give it to a shelter, like, you know what I mean. But it's like, no, I'm not. No, now that's a person I would want to be, and that's the advice that I would give. But my heart, no, I don't. I'm not like that. I really want. I want to be, and that'll be inside of me. But then I don't let something else. And no, Pinky, be nice. Nice. Be nice. I don't gotta tell myself be nice all the time, because Pinky don't want to be nice. The beast that want to come out. You know?
I have a cousin in here. He's my Tarek. He said, because from my personal experience, when I had enough, what made me stay was I wasn't secure in myself. Because somebody, I think earlier had said, they think that people stay sometimes because they don't feel secure. And this is coming from a male. He said that what made me stay was I wasn't secure in myself, such as looks, how I'm going to be on my feet on my own, how I was going to handle no regular sex. It was all a security thing. Once I got past that, the next relationship, I was up and gone the first sight of BS, because I was fully confident in myself at that point. And people I know, that's a common thing I see as a problem. It's better you leave everything so they feel the pain a week later when they find when they find a stick or something. I'm not sure. A sock or something. Okay, he corrected it. Well, I don't know.
All right, taking everything. I mean, he's right. It is insecurity. But a lot of times when you're in these relationships, because like I said, it didn't just happen one time you get kicked in your back. It didn't just, and maybe it did. Maybe it was the first time. But that's a real violent person that the first time you're going to get kicked in your back down a flight of stairs.
I highly doubt. I would highly doubt. I would say that though. I highly doubt that was the first.
We would highly doubt that there's the first time they probably got hit, but you saw that anger and aggression something.
Yeah, you see that before. She probably get choked already. She'll probably get punched already. Something happened before that kick. A kick? Downstairs?
A kick is, I mean, any form of attack is violent, but it is insecurity.
But a kick down from stairs, I think that's your max right there.
Yeah. But look, I have known women, And I was like, Halima, I come from a family of women. My mother was one of 7 girls, and my uncles were married. And so there were 10 women in our family. I had 9 aunts, and they were very good women. They were very good women, and they stick out through a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I know a young lady who was pregnant, and her mate, he was on drugs, and he pushed her down the stairs, and they lost the baby. I mean, you hear a lot of stories. Lost the baby, however you want to look at it. But these things that happen, and it is insecurity. But when you're there in these relationships with people abusing you verbally, emotionally, yes, it is insecurity. And it takes a lot of work to become secure within yourself, to stand up for yourself, to say, I deserve more. And that's the inner personal work that we have to do, you know. And it's in these relationships, what I'm learning is in these relationships that you learn these valuable lessons, you know, like, I am not going to do this ever again. That's why I tell myself, I am not doing this again. This path is not for me. What did I do that ended up being in this situation? You know, we have to live and learn. That's the major thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, help other people, because we didn't know. I didn't know. I thought the marriage was going to get better. I thought he was going to stop cheating, and then a baby come, and he denied that the baby was his. You know, you just been in situation, you know. Some people don't admit that they even cheated. You will never know at the end of the day, because they ain't gonna admit it. You know what I'm saying? So what do you do if they never admit that they've done something? What do you do? Do you believe because you want to believe the best in people, or do you not believe? What do? You gotta choose.
Hima said, when I leave, there will either be no evidence that I was even there, or the damage will be undeniable and unforgettable. Mm-hmm. But again, that is something, again, that we have to also watch, because if you, like Ranchi said, a lot of times things are incremental, and it's like, you have to say to yourself, you never want it to get to the point where you do have to do some kind of physical harm or do some damage or whatever. Because at the end of the day, it wouldn't make any sense. You do all that, now you get yourself in trouble. So I think that, because one of the things too, as y'all always hear me say, goes back to our kids, you know, kids that we mentor, people that are around us. What are you teaching them too about relationships, and what to tolerate from what not to tolerate, how to stand up for yourself? And you know, Ranchi, you said something that has resonated with me ever since, that, you know, we live in such a world now where people are so separated from family and support systems. And I think that I think people are stronger in making decisions when they have a support system and family around, that when they want to, because I know for me personally, if my mom had still been alive, and if like my father was around me, that I know that my enough is enough moment would have ended a lot sooner. But I think, like, when you are so separated from family and you kind of doing it on your own, and you're so used to being independent and maybe not asking for help, or accustomed, you know, for other people helping you or being around you, you tolerate a lot more than you normally would have too. And to me, I find that to be a lot of times the people who are a lot stronger making decisions.
There's still a delicate balance with regards to family involvement in relationships, though.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
There's still a delicate balance.
It's not their involvement in the relationship. It's not their involvement in the relationship per se, but it's their involvement that they are there for you.
Right.
Well, we know that,
Louis,
but then there's
in a sense, Louis, look at it this way, right? If you were living with your girlfriend, out of nowhere near your family members or nowhere around anybody you know, and she kicks you out, she said, it's over, get out. It's her place, get out. Where do you have to go?
That's why I made the comment with regard to being
If
a
you
delicate
if you have
balance.
family or if you have
I totally
both
understand
people,
that.
you could lean on somebody. You could get out of the situation sooner than having to sleep in your car or struggle or call somebody last minute, be asking for change to get somewhere for you to live for the day or something like that. Family is good. It's good to have family near you or whatever. But
There's no doubt about that. Absolutely. I
yeah,
come from a very, I talk about my family all the time. I come from a strong family background, family upbringing again. But again, there's levels of involvement in the relationship where things need to be handled amongst the parties where
that for
there's,
sure. That for
yeah,
sure. Family shouldn't
Yes.
be in your relationship, but you should have your family support.
But
of
it's
course.
like Shemet said, and like me when I had my situation, and there are situations where sometimes you just can't leave, right? Not at that moment.
Mhm.
You should be starting an exit plan. When you know that situation is like that, you can't just pack up and you can't just walk out the door. You need to be planning. You need to be strategizing something so you could get out of a situation, especially if it's dangerous. And if it's dangerous, with people kicking you, you know what I'm saying? Then you need to talk to people that could assist you in getting an exit plan and getting out. Because staying, people are staying for safe reason in their mind. I stay because if I leave, he gone whatever. That's not true either. So start with an exit plan and go and seek help. Addressing what Debbie and Louis were saying, it got sometimes you can't trust your family members to assist you or even give you the right advice. You can't trust friends to give you the right advice because we know we've been in relationships and sometimes you just got people who don't like people because they don't like them or they like them. It could get so damn messy. And the more people you involve, the more messier it could get. Right?
My situation got to the point where my dad actually called me and was like, look, I just got a call from your wife, and he explained to me everything that went down. He's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're your own person. You guys need to figure this out, but you need to listen to what was said. And he run it down to me. He's like, you got to make a decision about this. He said, think about everything. Think about the children. Think about your safety. So it was that type of support. Yes, Ranchi, I got that support, but it was still my decision. You understand what I'm saying?
Which is,
That's-
but that's the thing. It's not that the family is telling you necessarily
Right.
telling you what to
Right.
do, but you
Right.
knowing that you have their support if you need their support.
Exactly.
Shemet, let me say something. Shemet said, I was ashamed to let family know what was going on in my house. And in parentheses, she says abuse because no one wanted me to marry him in the first place.
And that's
I think that also brings another piece, shame. Or I told you so kind of thing, that sometimes you enter these relationships and people on the outside have seen things that they were like, and you still pursued it. And then when you know that it's not a healthy relationship, there's that reluctance to let anybody know. And so, like you said, you stay thinking you're better off staying when at the end of the day, it ends up that you shouldn't have stayed at all.
But we have to remember also that love to cause your judgment to be off a lot of times. When you love a person,
But if you're worried about that, I told you so. That's more about your pride and your safety, though.
It is, but we go through these things, Ranchi, because we just do. I mean,
because we have the wrong idea. We've been taught the wrong thing. You learn.
We were. And I tell you from a different generation. Our generation believe, I appreciate our generation. Like I really do. And Nikki was mentioning something you had said, like we can't keep the old mindset because the old mindset going to cause us to make old decisions. So we got to change the mindset, but we got to take some of the old and then put it with the new and make something good. But our generation don't stick around. I like that. Our generation was, you going to stick it out. And the generation before us. And we believe in our grandparents. My grandmother, she left her husband. So, and she had 12 kids. And she had 10 kids. 2 had died. And she left. So I come from some very strong women too. So my mother left her marriage after 6 months. Now, a lot of people, and so my mom was like, well, why are you staying in this situation? Like this is not how we raise you to be. But let me tell you, people were saying that my mother was like, well, she left after 6 months. But my grandmother left, and she left for very, 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 very good reasons. My mother left for very, very good reasons too. Those were not relationships that they should have stayed in. So they were very progressive women, because my grandmother was born in 1903 and my mother was born in 1933. So at the end of the day, in their generation, you did not leave for no circumstances, but mine's did. My grandmother left, and so did my mom.
True.
Well, like,
So I was trying to break the generational curse. I was trying to be different. I was trying to raise my children and not be a single mom. So was it insecurity? At the end of the day, I was trying to do what's the right thing for the family and trying to do for the children. It's a balance there. Me know which one to tell you, Ranji.
Would you have been a single mom? I mean to say you would have break up with your biological father, but you think another guy would have picked you up with your 4 kids? Would have loved you enough to accept you and your family? Because that is out there.
I didn't want anybody else to father my kids.
No, they
so
fathering.
If that was the case, I would have been a single mom.
I don't see it as fathering your kids. The father will always be the father of the child. But at the same time, you need love because it's your life. You're still living your own life. So why are you holding on to your own?
It was a sacrifice I made for my children.
Okay.
And you know what you're saying now, Pinky? I'll tell you a story. When I left, I was the second child father. When I left him, I was 3 months pregnant. And the old schoolers, my elders, were like, "Oh, you're pregnant. You need to try and work it out. Because first of all, you ain't married." Okay, great. I ain't never got married. You already know that. You had that conversation. And then there was like, "Oh, this whole new generation, they never want to stick it out. I have all these kids." Remember my oldest child, a different father. You're getting a second child and it's another father. And what people think, I don't give a shit what people think. What I have to do with me? Oh, well, you need help. Help with what? I raised my first one with myself. And I could show you my second one by myself. So I don't understand what you're saying. It's like some of these elders wanting to stay unhappy for the sake of the kids. These kids gonna grow up and leave your ass right there. They don't go back.
I tell you, you just smarter than me.
Provide my life right now for kids who have their own life. As long as I provide them with the love, support, a roof over their head, clothing, down, be straight. Like, I don't know what you're saying, but a lot of the elders were so hell bent on you staying with the child father for the sake of the kids. The kids don't want to see you unhappy. The kids don't want to see you miserable. And these kids gonna grow up and have their own life and live it right there. And then you'll be an old, washed out hag trying to live your life now. I don't think so.
Really, Halima? Why we gotta be all washed out hats? But in actuality,
that's what I told them. I'm like, I'm not gonna be an old washed out hag wondering where my life went because I sacrificed myself and my happiness for children who have a long life to live. Like they don't go out there and be great. Why I have to be unhappy? No, that don't make sense.
Honey, I didn't learn that until now in life. Now in life, I tell you, you're far more advanced than I was, you understand? But back in the days, now I was like, are you grown? Are you gonna live? But it was actually the stroke that gave me to that point. Because again, that was my awakening moment. I was asleep. I call it living in the matrix. I was just doing what everybody else was telling me that I should be doing, what I need to be doing. And so, and when you busy and you got 4 children and you live in and you walk in and your mind don't allow you to figure out these things, you know. It's only when I get away from the craziness, I start to see things better. It's like being in a storm and everything that around you cannot, because I was in a storm, you can't see, you can't think, you can't focus. It's when the storm settled, then you could start to see clear. I was an old washed out hog because I allow life to wash me out. And then I wake up and I said to hell, well, I had a couple awakening moments. But the first one was because now my life was threatened, right? And so I said to my kids, you know what? I ain't gonna live my life. I gonna do what I want. I gotta fight for my life at this point. I do whatever I want. And that's when, for the first time in my life, I get to do what I want. Everybody do whatever they want. Like,
Yeah.
Kapinki can't deal with all of that no more. And now at this stage in my life, I was like, I could really do what the hell I want because I is adults, number one, and nobody taking away my second chance. You know, so I holding on to my second chance. But I didn't get there until I was freaking 45, honey.
Yeah, it's true. And also staying in an unhealthy situation, what are you teaching your children as well?
Exactly.
So
Right.
it's
I
like
have
you
daughters.
stay,
Yeah,
you
so
staying and what you're
no
teaching
way.
them that you're supposed to be in a bad situation, because at the end of the day, even though you're staying because you're thinking you're doing the best thing for them, they're learning from what's going on. They're feeling that nasty energy. They're
And yeah,
seeing how you all are treating
because
each
you said
other.
that,
So then what are
Debbie,
you
that's
teaching
how I
them?
felt. That's how I
Yeah.
felt. 'Cause my mom stayed with my dad because of us. I was like, you could have left. You could have been left. Because what parents don't realize, children feel guilty that you were miserable in a relationship. I feel
Right.
guilty that my mom was unhappy for all those years because of me. You know, you're telling me because you stayed because I want you to have that two-parent household the society claims is the best thing for the children. Just because I have two parents don't mean the two parents doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know, most of the time it's only one parent actually supporting you and doing everything you're supposed to be doing. So your children feel guilty that you stayed in an unhappy situation.
But you see, that's
Okay?
kind. You come from a two-family household. You see, and that'll be the difference. You came from two family. You came from two parents. I came from a single mom that struggled and could barely feed us. And so, in my mind, it was better off to be able to feed your children and keep a roof over your head. You see, so it's all the
Our
dynamic that
perspective,
come
yeah.
from your own experience and
Seriously.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I was like, I don't want for my kids who were my mother, and I didn't want that life that my mother had either, and I actually didn't. Even without everything else I did have, my mother had it hard, you know,
And that's the
because
thing.
she was a single mom.
We just said, I told my mom, I would have way much prefer if we had went on government assistance because where we come from in the projects we were living, we were only 4 families were actually working. My mom and 3 other people. Everybody else was on government assistance. You know, everybody was just staying home, collecting a check, and every day my mother going to work. And my mom was a nurse back then, so she was back then pulling 16, 18-hour shifts. Okay, and my dad was supposed to be watching us. He never used to watch us. Okay, I the one who raised my brother and sisters. So for me, I told my mom, I'd much prefer if you went on government assistance and stayed home than you thinking you leaving our dad here to deal with us and he ain't dealing with us. So it's really about how you grew up and your perspective. So I was like, I never want my kids to feel guilty that I stayed in an unhappy relationship. I wanted to see me thugging it out and making ends meet for us instead of me being with somebody and being unhappy and that person ain't being a right influence for them. So yeah, it's definitely about how you grew up and your perspective. So that's my main thing. My daughters then will never be in a situation where they feel they have to stay. Never. It's like, yeah, I just do not want that for them. Because like I see how it did to my mom. I said, no, it's not gonna happen to me, and I don't want it to my kids. So I would never stay in something just for the sake of the kids because your kids are gonna be unhappy. They might not tell you because they want to add to your happiness. But as you get older and they sit down and tell you, hey, I didn't like what I was seeing. I was unhappy with what I was seeing. And then God forbid your son or daughter turns into that. And then they're like, oh, why are you mad with how I acting? This is exactly what you did with you know, mom and dad. I did the same thing. Why are you mad? I just copying what you were doing.
True.
So like my dad later in life became a better dad to his stepkids. My dad was never a dad to me and my other brother and sister, but he was a great dad to his stepkids. And that's one thing I said, I'm glad you got to see what it's like to be a real father, even though he wasn't one to me. But at least those kids grew up with having a father supportive, caring, and in their face about things because I didn't have that. So in later in life, he realized what he was supposed to be doing. Me and him, we don't have that kind of relationship now. That's just a friend. I don't consider him to be my father. So for him, I tell him, I'm glad you showed these kids what a real man's supposed to be doing than what you showed me. So, like I said, it don't make sense to stick around just for the children them because you don't realize the impact they're having on them.
You know, my kids, they ain't going for it. My sons ain't going for it. And the thing about that was, I knew what the situation was, and I always spoke the truth about the situation to my girls and my sons. My sons, I was telling Debbie the other day, I'm so proud of the men them that they have turned out to be. They don't let you know they don't want to be nothing like their father. It's unfortunate to say that, but they do say that. They say, I don't want to be nothing like that. I'm not going to show up like that in the wall. They made that decision, and you should, and my daughters, the same thing. My oldest daughter was like, she don't give me advice. And she was like, no, sir, she ain't playing it. My girls ain't playing it. They ain't having it. And my youngest daughter was like, mommy, you shouldn't have to pop with this. My oldest daughter too. My sons also did too. So yes, but we have to, in these situations, be honest with our kids. And I think a lot of times we hide things from them. We pretend like there is no problem. And that's the one thing I didn't do. I didn't pretend to assume. Everybody know I had problems. And because of that, they made different decisions.
Yeah. True. Kimo saying everyone's perspective and experience is, of course, going to be unique.
Correct. I was about to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to actually say it with regards to what Halima was talking about, her situation, because everyone's experience was definitely different, and you're going to get variations. So that was heavy. That was heavy, and thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And true. I'm glad that you have, because for me too, when that final enough is enough moment happened was because I started realizing that it was really affecting my kids and how they felt about certain situations. And I was like, and they were like, why are you staying? So like you said, they're learning and they're receiving it in many ways that we don't even know. So at the end of the day, they need to see your strength when something is not serving you or serving them as well. So somebody just said something. Okay, Tarek said, at first they won't understand, but as they grow and go through life, they realize the benefits of your decision. I can say personally, as a child of parents that separated, it will be rough in the beginning, but it's a whole lot of understanding at the end of the tunnel light, because they aren't kids with no life experiences forever. And it's true.
Right.
It has definitely shaped my children and how they make decisions as well. But again, I think, there's some people, fortunately, that have never had to have an enough is enough moment, and they made that decision, like Ryan, to thug it out. And that's ultimately the goal that you would hope.
The thing is, for me talking it out though, it was that my companions, they were both great women. I was a problem. So, and I was a young man in a new world. Not a new world. The world has been the world forever.
What new world you talking about?
It's the same one. It's the same one.
Sounding like Christopher.
Yeah, I mean, you say you're going to live and you're going to learn, and as no matter how, I don't care how they put it, a man will be a man in certain stages of their life, and you're going to live a certain way. So for me, in my opinion, it comes to levels, and you got levels of respect on how you respect your partner. I'm going to say, you're going to cheat, but are you going to do it in her face? Are you going to expose it? You're going to leave everybody see it? Because they got guys that don't really give much, don't care if she find out how it go, and then they got guys that gonna do everything that they can for the woman, make sure she happy, be her shoulder to lean on.
I'm laughing because your cousin just said Chups.
So I just said Chups and St. Martin too.
Richland.
Disrespect is disrespect. She said
disrespect. No, but it's true. But it's funny. Do you guys feel the same way about what Boyd said, in terms of it appears that in general it's usually women who call it off?
Yeah, I agree with it. for me, looking into my relationship and other relationships I seen fall apart.
It was based on my actions. So
the time, so women are saying, "I'm tired of this. I going. I give up. No. They got better for me out there. Grass green on one side." Until you realize that grass for rocks.
Or like when somebody put up, RT said, "Oh, the grass is fake on the other side." So some people don't mind the fake grass. I don't know what to say, but
it is
wow.
happening.
Look,
and why do you think that happens, though? Why do you think that men don't call it off? I mean, he said he gave his position on that, but why do you guys think men don't?
Louis, you go first. Louis, you go first.
I mean, like I said, I like to keep saying it. The reasons or the times that I've had that experience is because it was based on my doing. I was a wrongdoing in those situations. So yeah.
But I mean not even just you, just in general, guys.
I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak about my experiences. You know that. I mean, I wouldn't leave if I would have kept things going, but that wasn't the right situation. So, and I was saying, I've learned a lot from, I learned a lot from that. I definitely in a different direction, a different path. I did by myself, so that says a lot.
Sure.
Nobody around me.
And oh God, and Tarek said he said we are natural fixers. We feel everything can fix. Women say throw it out, but a new one.
I think it was challenging to try and. I think for me, personally as a man, the challenge was if I know something is broken, I would always do what I can to try and bring it together. That was like the
That's basically what Tarek is saying. He was saying women say throw it out, but
it's a sense of accomplishment.
Men say get the nail and hammer and try.
It's a sense of accomplishment when you could take a broken heart or broken woman and make her smile again. That's
smile for the moment or smile for
the plan is to keep us smiling all the time, not just for the moment, but then your behavior needs to change. It can't be a temporary smile because you can't go back and do the same thing over again.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be meaningful in what you're saying and intentional in what you're saying, because if you want it to really last, then and I've had those moments. I've had those moments.
You have to fix that smile. You have to put that smile back. A happy home. And you can't be in a sad home. A happy home makes sense.
And for the ladies, when he made that comment last night, was that like an aha moment for you all as well?
That men don't leave?
That usually men don't leave.
Yeah, it was. I had to think about it because, like I said, I left everybody. Nobody ever left.
Yeah, I necessarily leave everybody.
Yeah, I left every one of them situation. Well, that's another, But I left all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what he said was very profound, because he said, I either began what I want, right? So I got a woman at home, and then you get to cheat. So why would I leave anyway? We don't leave because we the one unhappy, we the one dissatisfied. I ain't dissatisfied, so we're gonna go. You know?
Exactly.
But are they really not dissatisfied if they're out there cheating?
Not completely.
Me ain't gonna get into that because people we had this monogamy, non-monogamy. Halima, I'd rather you talk about it. I with Halima. I don't want nobody throwing no rocks at me. Everybody's not meant to be monogamous. We're gonna just put it out there. Like, everybody's not meant for it. It's not the life for everybody. It's the old model. People's minds are changing, and my mind is changing about the whole concept. So all I gonna say is, Halima, you take the wheel.
I don't think it's an old model. I just think, I don't know why, but I think men condition women to believe that they're supposed to only have one person in their life, but they are allowed to have more than one for whatever reason. And for me, I just think both men and women, some people ain't built to be monogamous. Some people are built to love more than one person and be with more than one person. And it's just not about sex. Some people just like freedom. So I don't feel, and I think what happened is like certain men will see, okay, it's a really good woman. I love everything
Alima,
about
that's a
her.
very progressive way of thinking.
Yeah, I'm the weird one in the group though.
No,
Just
there's
so
nothing
you
absolutely weird
know.
about that. That was actually, I was
In my group
commending
and
you
my
She's
on
saying
family,
that.
last night.
yeah,
She's
yeah, in
not.
my group and my family, I'm the weird one. So, like I said, I think guys, what they do, they look at women to see, okay, are they gonna be good for my children? Are they gonna be supportive? Are they gonna hold me down when I can't hold myself down? They look for all these good qualities. When they find somebody with all those qualities, they want to grab onto them. They want to hold on to them. But they know they're not ready to just be with one person, or they can't be with one person. But that person only wants one person. So they go into it, they're faking monogamy, faking that, yeah, you're only going to be the only one. But that's not really that's not their nature. But they want to keep this person. So they're going to do everything in the world to make her feel good, but they're going to still be cheating aside. It's not that they don't love that person, they love the person, but they just weren't meant to be with one person. And unfortunately, she wants somebody who only wants her. And that's not the case all the time. That's why there's a lot of cheating. Now, they have men out there who are just disrespectful. They just do it in your face because they feel, oh, she ain't gonna never leave me. So you have those out there that you should avoid because they're just narcissists. They don't really care about you. They care about conquering. That's their thing. But then there are men out there who genuinely love you. They care about you and treat you really, really well, but it just can't have you alone. It just is not in their nature.
There was a, but wait, there was a comedian that I saw, I forgot his name, and he's actually in a relationship with two women, and he talked about how that whole thing started. He was like, men, he was dating the two women, and he was like, look, I don't want to leave her, and I didn't want to leave the other one, so he introduced both of them to that lifestyle, and all three of them live together.
It happens. I mean, there's a lot more religions like that in the world than people realize. Like, we're in our smallest place here, but trust me, that's a norm in a lot of places.
It's most definitely.
But that's for mature people. That's not for the guys, again,
for the grown
who just
folks.
think, I
That's for
want
the
to
grown
have
folks.
two women. This is for mature people who understand, yes, I could have another boyfriend, and you could have another girlfriend, and I'll coexist. That has to be the mentality, and you have to have structure in it. You can't just go in thinking it's a free for all. I just do whatever the hell I feel like. That's not a real poly relationship. A poly relationship is every party understands where we stand. There's rules
and
to
regulations
it and respect to it. So that's not a relationship for everybody. You have to be open-minded and not stuck on society and what your family and John public and still have to say. It's just what works for you and your relationship.
So what's your view on poly relationships?
I don't think monogamy is for everybody.
Oh, okay. What's your view on polyamorous relationships?
At the end of life, you write your own book, and everybody.
Yeah, well, for me, if I am in love with a person, I can't do poly. I'm very territorial, so it's not gonna work. If I'm not in love with a person, but I like the person, I don't have a problem with it. But if I'm in love with you, it's not gonna work.
Let me ask you this: you think that's, how should I say this? Is that when I say regional, I want to say regional thing. Do you think that's just Caribbean women or Caribbean mentality of way of thinking? Or because you don't really find those types of relationships here in the Caribbean? That's more of an American.
They have it in the Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
It surely has it in the Caribbean.
There you go.
And St. Croix too.
All right.
So we have them. Like I said, it's a lot more out there than you will know. Just because you're in one, and that's another thing too. Don't let social media fool you. Like, all these people are out there now showing it. They're just doing it for their own reasons. But there are a lot of those relationships here right on St. Croix that you will never know about because nobody's business. Because Caribbean people are very close-minded. We don't like weird stuff. We want
this is where I was going with it, you know what I mean? Because of the mentality of the Caribbean.
Yeah, so they're very open with it in the islands, but in America, definitely.
But you know what? The thing is, we may not be accepting to it in the Caribbean, but that don't mean it ain't happening. Right?
Exactly.
Well, that's what she said. Yeah, that's what she definitely said.
I read in and saw and I write in, so sorry if that's what you said and I miss it.
The thing is with the Caribbean though, the islands are small, so the community knows, everybody know each other. In the States, I see you today, I'm gonna see you again till next year. Like, you don't cross each other that often. But in
my area, you don't cross people often.
You're crossing everybody often, so of course it is feel uncomfortable for most people.
Who
That's
you
where the
living your life
smart
for? You're living your life
is.
for them or for yourself? Who gives a shit?
But that's the thing.
But
That's
the
for
thing
me.
is, I like what Shamet said, because the thing about this monogamy, non-monogamy, whatever, right? You know, it is the individual, right? But then again, it could be disrespectful. You know, it could be done in disrespectful, harmful ways. And if you're gonna be lying and doing all kind of thing, then you know it's the same. It's not. So all I'm saying is, sometimes the grass green on the other side, but then you go over there and the grass got rocks in it, or it's fake. That's all I say.
True.
It looked like it's the solution, and it could be the solution to some situations, but all parties have to be involved, and people have to just be honest about it. You know what I mean?
I think in terms of that situation, again, in terms of enough is enough. I mean, it all really, you know, Cece always talks about self. It really comes back to self. You being honest with who you are, what you want to accept and what you don't want to accept, and being honest in saying that. Because then, number one, you're being true to who you are. You're being true to, if you get into a relationship, you're being, because you know that, like Halima was saying, if a guy or a girl knows that they cannot be monogamous, therefore ending up causing other issues in the relationship, you need to be honest and say it, because there's some people who will ascribe to it, and there's a lot of people that might not.
Yeah, but it's a fair that a person would not. That's why you don't say anything.
True.
Well,
but
what do they say? You can't knock it till you try it. How do you know unless you try it? That's you could prepare yourself mentally, but when you're in that physical structure and you see things and things are happening differently, how do you adapt? So now you're in this situation. Where's the out? If there is an out, what's that like? You know.
But again, it comes to it what you will tolerate from what you won't tolerate.
Yeah, but again, in theory, it sounds good. You want to do this? Yes, I'm for it. When you get in that situation, no,
Yeah,
you know
very different.
Yeah, on paper, paper it look good, but then when it happens in real life,
The
it's a
reality is
different story.
different.
But
Yeah.
it's a conversation. It's a conversation.
It's a conversation, and then it's also an experiment too, right? Life is an experiment.
It's a conversation.
Exactly.
But I remember
You're supposed to experiment. So like,
it's a conversation. But I remember Pinky said in one of our shows, because I was talking about a conversation. I remember Pinky said, "Yeah, but when people get the feelings involved, then what?" It goes
And
back to
that's
that.
true. And that's true. But I always tell her it is. Things I say yesterday, I might not necessarily say them today, because I'm growing and changing every day. And my thing is keep my mind open. The Icolon, you know, the Pinky who existed 3 months ago do not exist now. And you really teach me a lot of things. Trust me, I get really stressed out on Eleni, because we'd be bringing up some topics that I just never thought that I would be talking about. And then when I stand, I'd be like, well, some things make sense. Again, I was stuck in an old way of doing things and in an old way of thinking, but I had to ask myself, did that work out so well for me? Right?
Wait 1 second, Pinky.
So you try something new, that's
Nora
it.
over on YouTube is saying, Louis, are you telling everyone to try it?
What?
That's what she's asking.
If I'm telling everyone to try, I tell you what,
try
I'll say this: try it and let me know how it works out for you. I'll try it, and I'll bring my experiences, and we talk about it on the show. How about that?
Okay, and then Cheryl said, I'm at a point in my life, I'm tired of all the hurt. I give up on this love thing. And my only advice to you, Cheryl, I don't know your situation. And maybe I'm not the one to give this advice, because, you know, I'm always being told that I am the glass is half full. But this is my thing. At the end of the day, love you. Do for you. Do the things that bring you purpose, bring you joy, bring you happiness. And if you truly do want love, leave yourself open to love. But I think a lot of times we go searching, and that's where we end up getting in trouble, especially as women.
Or even better, we both can try it together. Who the user was? What's her name?
Nora.
Nora.
Let's try it. How about that?
Oh God.
Nora,
Anyway.
I said go for it. Come.
Let's try.
I'll
Let's
introduce
you
you,
and
Nora. I'll introduce you to
let's
Rick.
find someone and let's try together.
I tried to give this person some, because again, even Pinky and I we really were, I think we were talking about this today. I think one thing I've started to learn is that I have to understand that I have to make me happy.
Right.
If I want to travel, I got to travel, whether I have somebody to travel with or not.
Right.
I think a lot of times I think because I was married for such a long period of time and with the same person for such a long period of time, in my mind, I felt like I couldn't do a lot of things unless I was doing it with a partner. And one thing I've grown to understand is no, like if I want to do something, I want to be involved in something. I got to do it for me and make me happy. Because at the end of the day, the other person is not going to make you happy all the time. So if you don't know how to make yourself happy, that itself is going to be brought into the relationship as well. You know what I'm saying?
The heavens have opened and the angels are singing.
And you know
what was that about?
Debbie, for the young lady, the girl, Sherry,
her name is Cheryl.
The other thing too is if you constantly like out there looking for love, you're gonna seem desperate, you know, and you're gonna like kind of like bounce back the love you're looking for because nobody wants a desperate person.
Or you're gonna attract. You have to be careful what you're gonna attract.
Or
right.
Or you just let it happen organically.
Yeah, that's why I said if you do what Debbie said, do your own thing. Go to dinner by yourself, movies by yourself, spas, all those things. Like once you are accustomed to doing things by yourself and enjoying your life and enjoying yourself, you're gonna look different, you're gonna feel different, you're gonna dress different, you're gonna act different, and then you are gonna start attracting a lot of
stuff. Be a washed-out old woman, Halima.
No, you're not gonna be an old
exactly. It's true.
No,
because you know what, Halima, is so true. Yourself. Because I think a lot of time, and Pinky and I were just talking about this, that a lot of time people think like, oh, I gotta start taking care of myself because this person is interested in me.
Nah, you gotta do
Why don't you start taking care of yourself now so that someone will see you while you're taking care of yourself and you're not doing it just because you're in a relationship. And I think once you work on you and once you put out there in the universe what it is you want, you will attract it eventually, but you got to work on you, honestly. And that's something I had to learn. I'm still working on because I spent so much of my life dedicated to family and kids and job that I did not take the time with myself like I should. And you got to do it. You got to do it. Like COVID messed me up because I was supposed to travel and do all kind of crazy stuff.
Me too.
But I know.
And you know, we think that self-love, doing our nails, all of that's self-love, taking care of yourself.
It's more than that too. You gotta do like therapy and stuff like that. Look at yourself and see, you know, things like that.
You have to look at yourself. You have to look at yourself in the good. You gotta look at yourself in the bad. You gotta look at your mistakes. You have to learn from them. You have to project. It's a whole lot of things in self-love. We think it's just because they got a lot of people in the world who don't do their nails and look very nice on the outside and they don't love themselves. They got a lot of people who they don't go get massages, they don't do all, they don't love themselves. It got some people in the world that just ain't meant to be by themselves. It have some people like that. It got other people who could, you know, I as a loner, I master that life. I'm really sick of mastering it, but you know, I got a college degree in it, doctorates in it. You got people, I like to walk by myself. I like to do things. You got people who don't like it. It's nothing wrong with it. It don't mean that they don't love themselves or whatever, but the thing is we have to grasp what we love, what we appreciate, what we don't like. And we need to show up for ourselves. You know what I mean? It's like, people want to push their agendas or whatever, and then we just go along with it, like for the sake of peace, because, you know, like the other day, Debbie was telling me, Pink, you can't be a certain way because, you know, guys mightn't like you like that. I said, well, then if they ain't like me, they ain't like me. And me for them and they ain't for me, because this is how I be. Like, you know, I can't show up how they might want me to show up. And at the end of the day, me, I like everybody and everybody ain't gonna like me, and I'm good with it.
That's right.
But I had to get to that place now because I wasn't always there. I was a people pleaser, you know. I wanted everybody to like me. Now it's like,
Tuka,
if you don't like me, that's okay. We could just say hello and bye.
Tuka said, I think, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. Christian?
That was correct.
That's correct?
Christine.
Okay. She said, that's what I say. If you can be by yourself, if you can't be, I think she's saying, if you can't be by yourself, how you expect someone else to be with you?
That's true.
And if you, okay, I'm not understanding that, but I think basically she's basically saying that's true. You have to love yourself. You have to take care of yourself. When people see you doing that, it will attract. You know what I'm saying? It's just what do they call the law of attraction? But
you're gonna look like a light. People are attracted to light. So when you
Right.
start loving yourself, you're gonna glow different. You're gonna look different.
You're
You're
gonna
gonna attract
glow.
get that glow. It's
different.
true. Let me see else here. She says, Cheryl said, I don't go looking for anyone. I do things by myself all the time. People say, how can you go out alone? I say, I'd rather be alone than be around stressful people.
Exactly.
True. But at the end of the day, and Pinky and I talked about this too, I had to also come to grasp and say to myself, I see me as being somebody in a relationship. And if I ever were to the point where I would have to be by myself, I have to just accept that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But there's some people that really do want to be in a relationship. And I don't think you should just completely say you don't want it. When deep down you do, you just don't want it to come with a whole bunch of stuff. And that's why when everybody was thinking me about my non-negotiable list and I have it, it's true. I had to do that for me. I had to manifest it. I had to affirm it. This is what I want. And pray and hope that that's what I'm going to get. But
I always said this and I'm going to say it again.
Wait. Nicole said light attracts moths also, so be careful.
Who's that?
Nicole.
I'm going to say this, and I said it with the enough is enough. In our alone time, we need to really get grounded and centered in our spirituality. And in our spirituality, we get a voice that'll speak louder and clearer to us, and it'll tell us it's time to leave. It's going to tell us this is an okay relationship. This is an okay person. This is a good person. We feel it. We sense it. And then we will know. But in that alone time, it shouldn't just be used idly and just spent doing nothing. We need to be getting grounded in our spirituality and getting in ourselves, so ourselves could help us in making decisions, whether it's get out or get in. We will know because the inner voice will tell us what to do. True. And we'll meet people and we'll say, no, this person isn't for me. Or you'll meet person and you'll say, okay, maybe, we'll see.
True. Is there any last thing that anybody wants to leave with everybody as we have reached that hour in terms of enough is enough? I say follow your intuition. You know what doesn't feel right. And if it's something that cannot be corrected and addressed, time you do not get back, don't waste it. That's my little spiel. Pinky Grantley asks, what is yours telling you?
He been picking on me all night. I've been picking on me all night, Mr. Grantley. My intuition is telling me just go with the flow in life and see where it leads me. Well, that's what my intuition is saying, Mr. Grantley. And that's why I would say with it all, the enough is enough, like Debbie said, if you sit back and you evaluate the choices that you made when you stayed, in all my cases, the situation never changed. So, am I going to do that in this half of my life? Nah. If it ain't working, I ain't gonna try to fix it. If your man want to fix it, if Ranchi, if you want go get your cousin Debbie said Amanda go get a nail and a hammer and he gonna try and fix it.
Terry.
I ain't going for no nail and no hammer. I don't like to do hard man labor. Okay, so I don't like man labor. So manual labor too much. I ain't gonna do it. So no.
Well, again, Halima, I want to thank you for choosing to be here with us tonight. I really think a lot of people enjoyed your perspective. And like I say, if nothing else, people leave with a different perspective, a different thought pattern if they're faced with any kind of situation. And again, we have to remember and be cognizant of the legacy that we're leaving for our families, our children, those who are looking on. So, and of course, Ranchi, thank you for always being there for your cuz. I greatly appreciate it. I wish some more of the James clan would join on. I see Nadia tonight, Eric, Nicole,
Nicole still ain't come on yet.
all of them. But anyway, they'll eventually come on. But I want to thank everybody who has been commenting. Thank you, Nora, for all your comments on YouTube, and everybody who has participated in this. And we will, of course, see everybody back here next week, Thursday, at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Continue to invite your friends and family to the group. As you know, it's a private group and it's kind of invite only. But we have our YouTube channel and we still need more people to subscribe. We're at 41 now because we never know what Facebook might do.
That's true.
And so that's why we have the Love and Enlightenment USVI. And then there's people that are not on Facebook. So continue to invite your friends and family. And again, we appreciate it. And we will be here next week. Take care and be well. Have a great weekend.
Happiness is key.
Thanks again, Halima. Thanks again, Ranchi. Wishing everyone good things, great things, and beautiful things.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.